Welcome back to the Hockey Show, and today we are talking about the Anaheim Ducks and what they need to do this offseason. Now, it's right upon us. I guess we're already in the offseason, but really we're getting into the nitty-gritty of it all, the fun stuff, the draft coming up the end of June, which we finally entered, the re-signing stuff afterwards. We're getting into the fun stuff of where the teams that didn't make the playoffs, or even the teams that didn't make the playoffs, are going to start making their moves for next season and getting ready. And the Anaheim Ducks are first because they're alphabetically first. Go figure. You knew that already. So, the Ducks this season, I really liked this season for them. I really loved it for them. Even though I'm sure being an Anaheim fan, you wouldn't like what they did this year being all the way at the bottom of the league. But I do think this was a great thing for them because the young guys grew. Trevor Zegras grew. Troy Terry stays really good. McTavish being not the rookie of the year, but being in the top 3 rookies of the year. Drysdale making the jump, but of course getting injured very early, so didn't really get to play. The young guys grew, and the prospects are incredible. I don't know how to say their names. I'll be completely honest. Is it Gautier? I don't know, but he's doing phenomenal. You got Mintyakov, something like that. He is absolutely out of this world. And Owen Zellweger, also freaking phenomenal. So they got a lot of young guys, a great draft pool, a prospect pool that they've already got going for them. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about those guys a little later. And so they've got really good things for them. And because they were all the way at the bottom of the league, they don't get Connor Bedard, which is sad. I think being in a fun place like Anaheim would have been great. But he's going to go to Chicago. And I think let's talk about our first thing on deck for the Anaheim Ducks is the draft coming up. And of course, with the second overall pick, you've got to think they go with Adam Fantilli. The guy is phenomenal. His team didn't make it to the finals of the NCAA, but his team did really good. He won the Hobie Baker Award, who I do think he did snub Logan Cooley, but I think because of how good he was as a rookie is what won him the trophy. And I think this is a home run for them, right? And now, and I actually forgot to write this on the board, but drafting Fantilli, for one, he might be already one of those NHL-ready guys, like, I think he might be, but I have no idea. He crushed in college in his first year, so who knows what he can do in his outside of college for his first year. I don't know. Maybe he's NHL ready. Maybe he's not. Only time can tell something like that. There's no way of knowing. There's Quinton Byfield still is an NHL ready, so there's no way of having a clue if he would be or not if they drafted him. But drafting him, now there are some pretty good options as well in Carlson, guys maybe like a winger like Michkov, but I think having Fantilli added to the lineup of Trevor Zegras and McTavish as centerman, and Zegras could probably play left wing, or maybe McTavish could play a winger as well, but having Fantilli, McTavish, and Zegras, if they can make those a three centerman line, or having just 2 of them join, having that 1-2, especially at least the 1-2 and first line of second line, one of Zegras, McTavish, or Fantilli in the future is going to be absolutely phenomenal for the team. And also, they've got 3 second-round picks, which is huge. Second-round picks. Those are the ones where you find guys like Owen Zellweger, who's going to be an amazing star. He was drafted in the second round. And I feel like people always underestimate how good a second-round pick is. Think about it. The 32 teams. There's so many young teams in the world, right? And the first 32 picks of the first round, sure, the top 10 are like the really, really good guys. But in this second round, there's a lot of teams in the CHL, in every single OHL, WHL, and QMJHL. Overseas, there's a lot of teams, right? People don't realize, like, the second round, like, if you took, let's just say, instead of there were so many teams, let's say there was only 32 teams, right? If every NHL team drafted one guy who they thought was the best from each single one of those prospect teams, the second round is them drafting the second best guy. And those are the ones that might be the ones that jump out better than others. So the second round, they've got 3 picks there, and they also have 2 third-round picks. So they are loaded in the first 3 rounds of this year's draft, which was loaded by itself. So huge for them. Who knows, maybe they could do something to try to get it for maybe next season. I don't know. They could make a bunch of moves there. We'll see. But they got a lot of draft capital, and I think that's huge for them. And the second-round pick, huge. Moving on to the re-signing phase. Now, this is where the real stuff happens, right? And especially for the Ducks, who've got a lot of things that they, well, not a lot, but they got a couple things that they really got to nail down, but they shouldn't have an issue. Trevor Zegras and Troy Terry, also Jamie Drysdale, their contracts are coming up. Well, they've already ended. Now they need an extension, right? Trevor Zegras, for me, and from what I've heard, I think the idea is $8 million, or maybe I would speculate $7 to $9 million. I couldn't see him going below 7. I don't really see him being a $10 million guy, but who knows? So my speculation is $7 to $9 million. Troy Terry, $6 to $8 million sounds good to me. Adam Henrique gets paid $5 million. Ryan Strome does as well. For me, Troy Terry's very good, but I don't see his ceiling being as high as a guy like Zegras' but I could still see him getting a higher end deal. High end, he's no way a $9 million player. $8 million still too high, but you never know. Teams like to give away a lot of money sometimes, so my think would be more 6 to 7, but 8 at most in my eyes. And Jamie Drysdale, I see signing a short-term contract to prove himself, especially with his injury. So I'd say 1 to 3 million. So with my speculation here, which I think is pretty honest here, is that to sign those three potent guys, they got to sign either $14 to $20 million at most, which I think is fair. They have $39 million currently in cap space, so you subtract that, simple math, $25 to $19 million left to spend, which is a lot. Now, after signing those three guys, after signing them, is 18 out of 23 roster spots filled, okay? So they still got 5 more places to fill. They have more guys on the roster right now, so with the scratches and stuff. So they need 23 players at least to make a team. They are currently at 18, signing those 3 guys fictionally, and it's not like they're going to get rid of them. There's just no way in hell that would ever happen. So they signed those 3 guys. They still need 3 forwards and, well, replacements for 3 forwards, 4 defensemen, and 1 goaltender. Their 1 goalie is out of a contract, and they would need at least a couple defensemen and forwards, okay? So for me, here's the big thing with the Ducks, and I think is huge for them, is that Fantilli could maybe make a jump. They'd have a position for him out there, right? They'd have a spot open for him. For the Ducks guys that they already have, Nathan Gauthier, however you say his name, is doing phenomenal with the Remparts right now. 46 points during the regular season. He's got 20 points in 18 playoff games. Guy's a stud. He also won 2 trophies that seemed pretty good. He was the most professional prospect or something like that. That seems cool. And best defensive prospect. Having guys like Zegras who are not very good defensively, having a young prospect come up like that and being there like Brad Marchand, their Patrice Bergeron type player, I think would be huge with guys like McTavish and Terry and Zegras. I think they could use one of those centermen that are really good defensively. So Nathan Gauthier, however you say his name, I have no clue. I think he could really make that promotion up to the NHL. Also, Zellweger winning the OHL's best defenseman 2 years in a row now. This guy's a stud, absolute beast. I believe he could probably make the jump up to the NHL, especially make the jump up and maybe do a Shane Wright thing, just throw him in there, see what happens if he doesn't cut it out. Maybe go back to Urho Vakanainen needs to be re-signed, but I don't think he's going anywhere. You could put him back in the lineup. But Zellweger, just with how good he's done in the OHL, I see no way. I think he would probably be one of the better guys to make the transition to the NHL, and especially on a team like this that is blooming, and I think he needs that NHL experience, especially Zellweger, because the Ducks don't have a lot of amazing defensemen. So Zellweger, I'd say move him up, as well as Mintyukov, or I think that's how you say his name. The guy won Best WHL Defenseman, I believe, and from what I've heard, and I gotta be completely honest, not the most updated person, but from what I've heard is that this guy is a superstar, and the name sounds like a superstar. Sometimes you can just go by the name. Zellweger, that's a name. That is a name that is going to succeed, like Zegras, Zegras is going to be a superstar. Zellweger, this guy, there's no way. Zellweger is either an accountant or a superstar player, and that is who he is. He's going to play like a superstar. Mintyukov, that's one of those names that are like, that guy's not making it. That guy is gonna make he's gonna be a star. So I think that would be a huge move to bring those 2 guys up, put them in the lineup, play with Cam Fowler, re-sign Kevin Shattenkirk or some defenseman, and put them in there and just see what they got to do. Because here's the thing at the end of the day. This upcoming season's not going to be the winning one. This is not going to be the year where these guys, you put them in the lineup, and they're going to be superstars already, and they make the playoffs for the first time with this new core. Not going to happen. That's not how it works. But I think this year's the year they start building up. Because with this $25 to $19 million that they still need to spend on 5 players, I think they should go out there and sign a big guy. A big name, somehow bring in a guy. I think Tarasenko, especially, or Patrick Kane, which I know could be a stretch, but I got a proposition, is the Zegras and Terry. They could really use another guy, another line main out there to really finish up that line, give them a veteran goal scorer with Kane or Tarasenko to play with. Could you imagine Patrick Kane finishing out his days? He's 34 years old. He signs like a 3-year deal to live in Anaheim. Beautiful Anaheim, California, with his family next to Disneyland. The guy's right there. And the park is right there, and he can also finish his days in a beautiful place, as well as being paid to play with, I would say Zegras is the next Patrick Kane. And by that, I don't mean like the best American player, but kind of the guy who revolutionizes the way the game is played and how young kids look at it. Kane was the guy that made, like, oh my god, like, look at all the stick handling, look at the dekes, look at the spinorama. That was who he was, right? He made kids want to be him, you know, and Zegras is now the next guy. You see all the time on TikTok or anything, you see guys trying to do the Zegras or any sort of crazy moves, right? That was Zegras's making, right? So if he could play with, like, the next, like, generational icon of, like, what it means to be a skilled player. And I think that would be huge, like, just such a spark. And also signing 3 years to play there, finish out his career. Tarasenko as well, to play with Zegras, to get the assists, to get in those goals, I think would be great beneficiary for both of them. But I also would really like to see Timo Meier. He's also a younger guy. I believe he's like 25, 26. I should know this being a Sharks fan. And the guy he played in San Jose for his career, went to New Jersey. Doesn't really work over there, to be honest. I think that they probably don't care about re-signing him. If the Ducks can make a move and bring over Timo Meier, that former and could be 40-goal scorer, and put him on a line with Zegras, where he's like the powerhouse and Zegras is the show, and I think that would be a huge combination. Also, guys like Alex DeBrincat, just to have a name, just throw someone out there to be a superstar on this team. I think this is the year where you bring in some pieces. You put some pieces to the puzzle, like the Rangers did. Now look at them. They could be Stanley Cup champions next year. You start putting together these pieces. You bring in guys like Zibanejad. Sure, the first year you bring him on, it's like, well, like he's playing on the Rangers, if you remember back in like 2018 or something, and he's playing there, and it's like, well, he's cool, but the Rangers aren't anything. But now look at him. He's the main piece to the puzzle there. It might be the most important Ranger on the team. That's what you got to do with a team like this. They got to look for some guys to sign for like a few-year contracts, maybe towards the end of their career, or just need a new home. It's Anaheim. It's a beautiful place. Get some guys to come there. Sign them. They're not going to be happy with this year, but going into next year will be the season where these guys like Mintyukov start to shine, where guys like Zellweger start to score goals, and Goucher and Fantilli or whoever they end up drafting, and with all their draft picks and possibilities that they have. They've got a lot of options. I think they've got a lot of cap space that they should really try, because if they bring in these young guys, they're still on their entry-level contracts. They're not going to cost much money at all. So they can throw big money at a guy, right? And they don't have to worry about re-signing them for a couple more years, and they've already got Zegras and Terry signed down. So really, I think this is the year where they go out, and they draft really good, and also trading. They've got some good capital, those second-round picks. Maybe draft Fantilli, and then with your second-round picks, go to like a team like the Coyotes who are looking for some draft picks and go, hey, we'll give you all 3 of our draft picks, and you give us, I don't know, who cares? Nick Schmaltz. It doesn't matter. Just any team. I feel like there's going to be a lot of trading going on this offseason. I got a good feeling about some of these teams are going to be moving out some players, and they can go out there, and especially a defenseman. I know I haven't listed any on here because there's not really any big defensemen on the market this upcoming. Like Gostisbehere is, but I feel like they could really use one, but that's where Mintyukov and Zellweger come in, so I don't know. They got some good moves. They're in a really good position. I like where they are, and they see to build up for this year. This year will be a year where they transition into being like maybe the 22nd spot in the NHL, where they're like they finish like 6th in the Pacific, right? And next year is the year where Zegras gets to like to 90 points, where Terry gets to 80 points, right? McTavish becomes like a true goal scorer and a power play man, and he gets to like 30 goals and gets to 70 points or something like that, right? And that is what this team needs to build for. Get ready for another bad year, but a better year than last one. And next year will be the year where guys like Zellweger step up. And that's what's got to happen. And that's what I think they got to do and should do and will do. So that's all I got to say. Then this is the end of the video. So if you've made it to this point, thank you for watching this. And I'm begging you, please pick up your free subscription. And until next time, too sweet. Have an amazing day, and ta-ta for now.